The 2024 U.S. presidential election is heating up like never before, and once again, all eyes are on Donald Trump.
America's comeback starts right now.
After his defeat in 2020, Trump is determined to make a comeback, with the ambition of reclaiming the White House, setting the stage for a dramatic chapter in American politics. But this isn't a rare occurrence in history. For over 200 years, many presidential candidates have tasted bitter defeat in past elections. Yet, instead of giving up, they returned even stronger with the hope of rewriting history. The story of candidates who run again after losing is not just one of persistence, but also of the unpredictable and complex nature of American politics. Could Trump become the next name on the list of candidates who staged a successful comeback? Join us as we look back at the legendary figures who faced defeat but refused to leave the game, and discover who among them managed to make their way back to the White House. Over more than 2 centuries of presidential elections, how many candidates have faced defeat but still had the courage to run again in future elections? Take a guess. There were 8 candidates who did just that. Do any of these names sound familiar to you? Andrew Jackson, William Henry Harrison, Grover Cleveland, Richard Nixon, Henry Clay, William Jennings Bryan, Thomas Dewey, Adlai Stevenson II? Now, do you know how many of these 8 actually succeeded in their comeback campaigns? Exactly half of them. They proved that defeat isn't the end, but just the beginning of a remarkable return. Andrew Jackson is the epitome of resilience and determination. He suffered a bitter defeat in the 1824 election when his opponent, John Quincy Adams, was chosen by the House of Representatives, even though Jackson had won the popular vote. However, Jackson didn't give up. He came back and won a resounding victory in 1828, ushering in the Jacksonian era with a strong democratic and populist spirit, transforming American politics. Harrison faced defeat in the 1836 election against Martin Van Buren, but he didn't abandon his political ambitions. Just 4 years later, in 1840, Harrison ran again with his famous Tippecanoe and Tyler II campaign, defeating Van Buren and becoming the 9th president of the United States. Sadly, he died only 1 month into his term, making him the shortest-serving president in U.S. history. Grover Cleveland is the only person in U.S. history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms as president. After losing the 1888 election to Benjamin Harrison, Cleveland decided to run again in 1892. This time, he won, securing his place in history as both the 22nd and 24th President of the United States. One of the most famous comeback stories is that of Richard Nixon. After narrowly losing to John F. Kennedy in 1960, Nixon ran again in 1968. This time, he not only won, but served 2 tumultuous terms, marked by the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. These figures are a testament to the spirit of perseverance and unwavering determination. Despite facing defeat, they returned with a strong will and seized the opportunity to write a new chapter in history. However, not everyone can rewrite history after their first defeat. Half of the remaining candidates had to accept continued failures, sometimes even 2 more defeats when they sought re-election. Henry Clay, one of the most talented politicians of the 19th century, was unfortunately not successful on his path to the White House. He lost in the contentious election of 1824, but undeterred, Clay continued to run in 1832 and 1844. Regrettably, despite his renowned oratory skills and significant influence in Congress, he was unable to become president. William Jennings Bryan is a prominent historical figure, often referred to as the champion of the working class. However, he is also one of the unluckiest presidential candidates. Bryan ran for president 3 times, in 1896, 1900, and 1908, but was unsuccessful each time. Though he never became president, he remains a symbol of resilience and the struggle for the American people. Thomas Dewey was a notable politician, but had a tumultuous electoral career. After losing to Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1944, He faced off against Harry Truman in 1948. Dewey was even predicted by the media to win, yet ultimately lost in one of the most surprising elections in American history. Adlai Stevenson was the Democratic candidate in 2 consecutive elections in 1952 and 1956, but lost both times to Dwight D. Eisenhower. Despite being an excellent orator with progressive ideas, Stevenson could not overcome his opponent, leaving many of his supporters disappointed. These stories of failure are not just lessons in the fierce nature of American politics, but they also show that no matter how talented or famous a candidate may be, the opportunity to become president is not always within reach. However, failing in the race for the White House does not mark the end of a candidate's career. In fact, many have used their defeat to pivot and seek new roles, continuing to wield influence in politics and society. After their loss, many candidates have returned to Congress, taking up important positions within the legislative system, where they played a significant role in shaping national policy. A prime example is Henry Clay. Despite never becoming president, he had a distinguished political career, leading major compromises such as the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850, which helped maintain the stability of the Union during tense periods. Defeated candidates often become key figures in reshaping the political direction of the parties they represent. Adlai Stevenson, after losing 2 consecutive elections to Dwight D. Eisenhower, continued to play an important role within the Democratic Party and went on to serve as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. With his progressive vision and sharp diplomatic style, Stevenson made significant contributions, particularly during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Moreover, many candidates who failed in presidential elections continued to impact political and social life by leading reform movements. William Jennings Bryan, though he lost 3 presidential elections, became one of the leading figures of the populist movement in the U.S., advocating for economic reforms and defending the rights of the working class. In this way, failure is not necessarily the end, but sometimes the opening of a new path that can be even greater. They continued to play crucial roles in shaping domestic and foreign policies or became leaders in diplomacy, reform, and legislation. Their post-defeat careers often left a lasting mark, proving that their political influence not only remained intact but sometimes even grew stronger. Donald Trump, an indispensable figure in American politics in recent years, stands before the opportunity to make history if he is re-elected in the 2024 election. If victorious, he would become the second person in U.S. history and the first Republican to serve 2 non-consecutive terms as president. The only individual to have previously accomplished this feat is Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, who we talked about at the beginning of the video. Trump's case would mark a significant milestone, not only in election history, but also present many challenges regarding the role and power of the U.S. presidency in the modern era. Like Cleveland, Trump faces a tough election battle, not only politically but also amid new factors such as social media and the impact of legal investigations. His potential return, if successful, would not only be a shocking event, but also a testament to his enduring influence over the Republican Party and American politics. It is noteworthy that while Grover Cleveland returned to power with strong support from the working class and small businesses, Trump symbolizes a completely different political movement, the Make America Great Again movement. This highlights a shift in the American political landscape, where discussions about the economy, immigration, and global influence have been strategically turned by Trump into key focal points to attract voters. If Trump wins in 2024, it would not merely be the return of a former president, but a declaration of the personal strength and political ideology he represents. Once again, the race for the White House becomes a battleground for fierce competition, and if Trump succeeds, he will not only write a new chapter in election history, but also shape the future of American politics in the years to come. The history of U.S. presidential elections has witnessed many stumbles, but it has also given rise to powerful comeback stories. The journey back to the White House after a defeat has never been easy, yet it highlights the resilience of the candidates. The 2024 election is not just a showdown between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It is also a test for the American political system. If Donald Trump is re-elected, he He will not only leave his mark as one of only 2 individuals in history to do so, but he will also shape a new era of American politics. Will this race open a new chapter in history, or will we witness another defeat that goes down in the books? The only certainty is that, whether winning or losing, candidates have continued to influence America in ways that no one can predict. Stay tuned for this tense election, and let's see who history will call upon. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for updates on the geopolitical happenings around the world. See you in the next video.